Hey everybody, this video might be a little rough for some people. It focuses a lot on mental illness and depression in particular, which can be hard for some people. So maybe, that's a content warning for you that I gave there. Capitalism makes you miserable and then demands that you pretend you're happy. Whoa, hot take alert, whoop, whoop, whoop. Let me back up though and tell you what I'm definitely not saying. Often I mention my own struggles with depression here on this channel, and without exception, whenever I do, some salami will come out of the woodwork to say, well actually, Matthew, the problem isn't depression, the problem is capitalism. And that, sucks. That's ignorant as the dickens. That's not what I'm going to be arguing here in this little video of mine. Obviously, living under capitalism can exacerbate mental illness. And obviously, it can make treating a mental illness more difficult. That being said, I do not think capitalism creates mood disorders. People were depressed before capitalism, and people will be depressed long after capitalism, assuming, that the human race can survive capitalism, which is, kind of still up in the air. Even if capitalism did cause depression, it's still not a useful or compassionate thing to point out. Someone tells you they're struggling, relates their experience of that struggle to you, and you tell them, no. It's just, what it is it's the economic conditions you're living under. Oh, okay, cool. Guess I'll just single-handedly overthrow capitalism then, no big deal. How hard could that be? I wasn't sufficiently motivated to do that when I saw that 11% of the global population didn't know where their next meal was coming from, and that everyone I know has to spend a third of their life in perpetual servitude to the owning class. But now that I know it's going to work a little bit better than a fexer, it ought to be a cinch. I mean, sure, I don't have the willpower to do the dishes right now, but if all I gotta do is dismantle the state and rearrange the economy so that it serves human need rather than bourgeois profit, I can probably knock that out in an afternoon. Thanks! Thanks for your compassionate and thoughtful interjection. If you can't treat the root cause of a problem right now, it feels pretty dismissive to me to tell people suffering the symptoms that those symptoms are irrelevant in the face of that root cause. I think depression is a chemical imbalance in your brain, but if someone told me that they were depressed, I wouldn't tell them, actually, your brain is simply failing to process serotonin correctly. My work here is done. You're welcome. It's a pointless aphorism, a thought-terminating cliche. It is indifference masquerading as radicalism that serves only to tear down our comrades when they need us the most. And just while we're on this subject, though this is not really germane to the matter I'd like to discuss today, there's another take I want to quickly address. The idea that anyone suffering from a mood disorder should just get over it because we've got bigger problems right now. Putting aside the blithe callousness of this, do you think that refusing to treat or heal from a mood disorder makes people more effective at dealing with big problems? Because in my experience, it means you can't even, get up to take a shower, let alone wage a revolution. And how are people meant to act on this advice? Don't you think that if it was an option to just get better, people would have done that by now? You think they're going to hear you say that and go, oh, wish I thought of that. Sorry, the moral calculus that you've cooked up to justify not giving a shit about other people's problems isn't airtight as you might like to think. Turns out maybe the key to building solidarity isn't indifference and hostility. Anyway, capitalism doesn't create depression, the mood disorder anyway, it creates economic depressions all the time. That's one of the main things it does. But it still makes everyone miserable. As I mentioned earlier, you piss away a third of your life in unfulfilling, often pointless, and more often than not, morally dubious servitude to a tiny and shrinking group of elites that own most of everything, despite having more than enough money and influence to fulfill their wildest ambitions several thousand times over already. You're not even making them rich. They couldn't possibly become not rich. We have to sit back and watch as perpetual growth, more and more production, more and more extraction, gradually kills the only home we'll ever have, as it pollutes the air, poisons the sea, and demolishes the habitats of thousands of species. As the boiling planet sends more and more extreme weather conditions at us, creating endless refugee crises, disease, making people all over the world poor and desperate, which fuels terrorism, which in turn is used to justify an expanding police state and the creeping inevitability of full-on fascism running rampant on the world stage. That is, if it's not already happening. It's hard to tell at this point. We see our opportunities dwindling. And no, we'll never get to live the lives our parents did. We'll never have reasonable access to home ownership, enough financial security to feel comfortable raising a family, a pension. Hell, most of us don't get to retire at all. We'll just work until we can't anymore, until we drop dead. Those of us who aren't mired in endless debt are just one paycheck away from being out on the street. All the while, the plutocrats rake in billions, tens of billions, hundreds. One of them is on course to be the first trillionaire. And just to put that number in perspective, the first human beings lived around 200,000 years ago. And if one of them were still alive, and they put away $10,000 a day for each of the 73 million days that they had been on this earth, that'd be less than 3/4 of the way to $1 trillion. Anyone personally holding that amount of money or assets worth that amount of money is absurd. It's unthinkable. Literally, you cannot think of it. And we don't even have the imagination to really think about all the ways our lives are made worse. What we would even do if we suddenly found ourselves free. I mean, if you only had to spend, I don't know, 20 hours a week actually working for a living, what would you spend the rest of your time doing? What projects have you been neglecting? Have you been putting off exercise, learning a new skill? How many books do you have on your to-read list? All of it just gets too painful to think about, so we numb ourselves with drugs, junk food, conspicuous consumption, binge watching Netflix while our to-do list keeps getting longer and longer, and then we blame ourselves for our inaction rather than the boot on our neck. Luckily, the market can fill a niche and provide an endless stream of self-help claptrap for us to consume to make us feel like we're making meaningful headway into our problems. Of course, for most people, a comfortably numb life is an unreachable dream scenario. For the overwhelming majority of the people on this planet, life is nothing but endless toil and grinding poverty for the benefit of far-off rich people who will never know they existed. And to me, that's all a bunch of horse hockey. Sorry to speak so harshly, I just think that the entire world economy and all of our daily lives being wasted on nonsense is a load of baloney. Have you ever noticed, though, how much everyone is expected to pretend like we're happy all the time? Like, the expectation seems to be that we're all just going to behave like we're flourishing always, and we've all been carefully conditioned not to show everyone else how miserable all of this is making us. It's in fact considered rude and selfish to bring it up. I'll give you an example. Someone you don't know that well asks you, "How's it going?" What's your answer? How do you respond to that question? Is it something like, "Not bad, you?" Do you even really need to think about how exactly it is going? Or do you kind of answer the question with what you know is the expected answer? Think about all the ads you watch day in, day out of deliriously happy people grinning while mopping the floor or shaving, grinning while cleaning the grout out of their tiles, and a lot of grinning while eating salad in particular for some reason. Conversely, people who are deliriously happy to eat fast food, which most people over the age of 13 only eat when they're down in the dumps. Every service worker is told to smile all of the time. Smile and be courteous. Smiles are free, but the bathroom is for paying customers only. Sorry, we're not giving you health benefits at this job, but there is a ping pong table. You can play ping pong as long as it doesn't interfere with the 40 to 70 hours of work we need you to complete a week. Think about how much of your time you spend curating your social media feed to give the impression that you're having a fun, carefree life, to make your public-facing persona pleasant, desirable, and most importantly, hireable. Is it that you're just vain? Is everyone just vain? Or maybe there's pressure on all of us to do that. There are pressures on all of us to pretend as though we're happy, as though everyone is happy and fine with all of this. Think about how many companies put smiles in their logos. Amazon has a smile in theirs. Don't know if you ever noticed that. It's sneaky. It's A to Z and it's got a little smile there. Walmart's logo is literally just a smile, or at least it used to be. Now it's a butthole for some reason. Walmart just changed their logo to a butthole. I don't understand how that happened. One of the biggest and richest companies in the world, with presumably access to like the best graphic designers and the best marketing teams on earth, landed on the butthole logo. That was the choice they made. They did all of that because it means that you associate their brand with smiling, with happiness. Except the butthole one, I do not know why they did that. And it all sounds nice, doesn't it? Like they want to make us think of nice things like smiles or buttholes. Until you really think about what that means. And it's kind of promising you that if you buy from them, you'll be happier, isn't it? I mean, why else maintain a happy brand image? Why spend so much time and energy cultivating that? It's profitable. And it's not so much that there's something wrong with marketing your thing as happy in and of itself. I mean, who wants their business to be seen as grim or sad or whatever? But it kind of preys on the misery that we all feel under capitalism, intentionally or not. We're all kind of sold in this idea that consumption will make us happier, will make us more attractive, more likable, less lonely, more competitive, more regular, more well-rounded. We'll get back more time that we can spend with our families and loved ones. It's all just one purchase away. But probably if we all just admitted that this sucks. This sucks. It's hard and we don't like it. If we learned, perhaps counterintuitively, to complain a little more and tough it out a little less, maybe we'd see that the things which make us miserable affect everyone else too. That we all kind of feel this way, and maybe that means we ought to do something about it. And I don't mean like storming Amazon warehouses and expropriating the means of production by force. That part comes later. I mean building community, supporting one another materially and emotionally, getting to know one another, learning to depend on one another. The alternative to this misery does not exist. You can't buy it anywhere. That's why it's up to us to build it. But what does that mean in practice? I don't know. If only I could find an explanation from an organization with a history of organizing mutual aid campaigns. Someone like Mutual Aid Disaster Relief. Like imagine if they had a YouTube channel. That's what I need right now, is like a short direct video with fun, interesting visuals that teaches people about basic mutual aid principles. You fools! You thought you were safe. You've been in the eyeball zone for some time now. All along, while you thought I was merely posing a suspiciously specific hypothetical, I was in fact conjuring the strength of the eyeballs to showcase a leftist project in need of views. How naive you are. How easy it was to ensnare you. Anyway, that thing I just described exists, and it looks like this. It's in the description if you want to go look at it. It's pretty good. Hey, sorry to get personal here, but I have a question for you. Do you have a small leftist project eager to sup up the eyeballs? No reason, I'm not asking for any reason, but anyway, if you do, no big deal. You can always email me exactly once at thoughtslimeeditor@gmail.com with the word eyeballs somewhere in the subject line and important details like your pronouns, and maybe you'll, I don't know, find yourself trapped here in the eyeball zone? Thanks for watching, and if you liked it, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to see more videos from me, I also make videos about horror movies over at youtube.com/scaredycatstv, and occasionally post myself playing video games at youtube.com/megaslime entertainment zone. You can also catch me going live on streaming to do a stream thing every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on YouTube and Twitch. Twitch.tv/thoughtslime, youtube.com/thoughtslime for that matter. I also have a Patreon at patreon.com/wait for it, you guessed it, thoughtslime. That's, all these drawings are from there. This video, if you couldn't tell, is a little bit more slapdash because I've personally been struggling with pretty severe depression lately. And I hesitate to say that because often when I do, people will come out and try to support me or try to do things to cheer me up. And I really don't like that because I don't want this relationship to work that way. I want to be the entertainer and all of you are the people being entertained. I'm providing a service for you. I don't want to really, I don't want it to be the other way around. So just know that I have like real life support networks. My wife has been great and it's all good. Don't worry. This is just something that happens to people sometimes. It's normal.